Hello and welcome Battleforge community. Today I am back with another PvP replay featuring the new Bandits deck. Bandits has received two new cards, at least in the PvP department, that are very strong and kind of make this deck feel complete by now, at least in my opinion. And yeah, I'll just use this replay here to showcase what I mean by this. So I'm playing against Stiglitz here on Uro, which happened to be a Bandits versus Shadow Frost matchup. And I start with the Scavenger, while Stiglitz starts with the Dread Charger. This is pretty much the standard choice for Shadow Frost. In Bandits, you can just do both, like Fire Starter, Shadow Starter, both are very viable options that synergize extremely well with the deck, so quite flexible on that department here. We see Forsaken being played on the left side. I will use the Sunstriders, similar like backline archer heavy fight, and yeah, I just want to avoid fighting very early on because like Frenzy is quite a powerful tool on very low unit counts, so I try to avoid this. But unfortunately I ran around this corner here, which was a little bit of a mistake because I kind of give up a little bit of unit like map control, and positioning is very key in those early skirmishes. Stiglitz using this while keeping his unit split up very well. He just moves into this area here, threatening to just run around and attack my power wall if I retreat for like too far. So I'm kind of forced to go in here, trying to use the Eruption to make sure that this Dread Charger cannot run in it nasty. Isolating this Dread Charger here and running away again. Like, not the most ideal trait. It was Dread Charger plus Forsaken for Eruption and Sunstriders, so overall slightly more efficient on the side of Stiglitz, but he lost like quite some health on those Forsaken, so it's not the end of the world because those Sunstriders here on a similar health level, but the Scavenger he can heal up again to full HP. The good side for Stiglitz here is that he kind of isolated those units here, so he's kind of trying to move forward and mass Frenzy at a certain point, and when I just overcommit, he could also just use his army and turn around to the other side. So I try to make sure that both sides are equally reinforced and engage during the right time to not lose any DPS during those skirmishes. Because if one of those two armies ends up arriving too late, that would be a very bad trade for me. But luckily I kind of managed to clean up here, which is very important to remove this pressure point, because Mass Frenzy Motivate onto this power well would be quite devastating. So those Sunstriders are finishing off the Dread Charges, and by now I also have a better unit position. Like it's much better to have all your units at like one area as the Fire player, especially if there's no Dread Charger around that can nasty into them. Unit stacking is such a good tool, because it cannot really be punished by shadow spells outside of Nasty Surprise that requires a Dread Charger to be used. And on the other hand, the Fire player can always go and use the Eruption, so if those Forsaken start stacking up, they will run into this, ultimately giving me the DPS advantage in those trades here. I can quickly isolate the Forsaken. Even if they're Frenzy, I have enough DPS now to remove them quickly, so it's not that much of a deal. And after trading quite well, I decided to take a power well on this end here, because I think Bandits also scales quite well with Void, so I'm not very afraid of like putting this game to a high Void level here. So I try to chase those Forsaken down there, because Stiglitz needs to respond with a power well as well. And I try to isolate those Forsaken, then retreat quickly before he can reinforce with his army here. But he spawns a Dread Charger, threatens for a Nasty Surprise, so I end up splitting my units into two parts. Especially those low HP Sunstriders are supposed to go back to this power well, so I can heal up again, while these ones stay on this area here. Just kind of reinforced with the Scavenger, so like I can zone off the Dread Charger, because especially those Sunstriders would die quickly to the S counter unit. So those Forsaken end up healing up. You can see the power level is quite high, and I thought about taking a power well, but it is a little bit risky to go up against Shadow, because they can quickly attack you with the Forsaken early on. Later on it's getting much easier for you, because you have such a high Void income from the time that just goes through when those power wells are working for you. But yeah, in the end, I end up going for a trade here. Stiglitz trying to go tier 2. As you're surprised here, hitting like okay-ish, because he can isolate those units now, and also those are out of position. I end up playing a Sandra here to like really make sure this one doesn't get too dangerous, because if tier 2 units end up reinforcing this power well might drop. But overall this ends up going down, because Stiglitz has to play the Nightcrawler in defense to not lose this power well in return. And yeah, I try to just move away. Now that this one is slowed by the Scavenger, I try to move back and attack the power, but there was a very nice body block here by the Stormsinger, slowing down the Sandra, so it took a little bit too much DPS before being able to put down this ability again onto the power. Still has to reinforce here with a Cobalt trick, so I have a little bit more time dealing damage to this one. Yeah, but I kind of underestimated the power that Stiglitz has here, because he can freeze me. So this eruption was like not ideal. At least I got down the Dark of Assassins. That is something. But still a very equal game so far. Both players on 4 powers. Since I had a lot of pressure applied onto the enemy, I can use the situation here to take tier 2 on this side over here. But I'm slightly down in tempo, as you can see. I'm at like 100 power, and Stiglitz has units that are worth much more. So he tries to set an attack. Both of these power wells are damaged, but he doesn't need to repair them immediately. So he has more power available to support his upcoming attack here. So I end up reinforcing here with Nightcrawler and Dark Elf Assassins to match these units. Back in the days, Bandits did not have the tools to like ideally match those Dark Elf Assassins, but with the new Bandit Minefield that we'll see quite soon, it kinda is easier than before. So Stiglitz ended up taking a 5th power well over here. I responded on this side. I'm not very afraid of scaling, but obviously this is what Lost Souls wants to do. And now you can see like the first new unit in the stack, the Bandit Sniper, has a 50-meter range sniping ability. The focus shot damage is getting reduced if any units are in the range of 25 meter. So you need to make sure that this unit is isolated. And here is the Bandit Minefield ensuring this trade here. This one costs 70 power. And with a focus shot, I am able to clean up this base here quite well. Like, this is the trading pattern that you want. Use the minefield to zone away, especially the Stormsingers, zone them away and then snipe them with the sniper, because there's like nothing close to you, and you have like the free shot without the reduced damage income. On top, like this trade was quite solid for Stiglitz. Like, he killed my Nightcrawler, I think, for the Dark of Assassin squad, so it's like 50 for 60. But this trade on the bottom was extremely good for me. So I end up using this Bandit Stalker, which is a counter to beasts, and really good against Nightcrawlers. Stiglitz is using a freeze, so I'm using the minefield here into those units, which is pretty devastating. Ideally, you try to zone them away, obviously, but yeah, Stiglitz kind of didn't react in time, so all this stuff died in the end. Snipe from the Bandit Sniper focus shot, killing the Stormsinger, so I start like confining him in his base. He really needs to make sure that he defends well, because otherwise this power might drop soon. Lost Reaver is getting played, which is quite a solid choice against this unit composition, especially those S units. And you can see this time this Bandit Sniper was in range of those Dark Elf Assassins, so quite a mistake by me. Damage got reduced. With a life weaving, it was essentially nothing that got applied. And now this Lost Reaver is cleaning up the Dark Elf Assassins. So I reinforced with the Wind Hunter, that is an L counter, also got buffed with the recent patch, so it is better than before, especially when it comes down to dealing damage. Has a little bit less health, but especially against those L units, it's super good. I think you will see it in action right now. So Stormsinger ability is getting used, and therefore I use the minefield here to zone this Nightcrawler away. Like, this is 70 power killing like a damaged 60 power creature, but it's still worth it because there was the Stormsinger ability, there was the Frostbite, so many spells invested into the Wind Hunter, which makes this trade great in the end. And yeah, those Bandit Snipers do have quite high damage, like 750, but the health pool with 500 is quite low. On the side here, Reaver using the Life Weaving onto the Lost Reaver, immediately disenchanted by the Wind Hunter, so the support is not there anymore. And this minefield again used as the counter tool against the freeze, dealing quite some damage. Like this time the Stormsinger gets away, but there's no space to run to, allowing to clean up everything. So this Wind Hunter gets placed around the cliff to avoid any big nasty surprise. It is a threat. This is why I also erupted here. Combo trick in time, Glacier Shell to reinforce. But yeah, those Wind Hunters obviously die immediately to a Nightcrawler nasty due to the reduced health. It is something that really needs to be respected as counterplay. So I'm using the Minefield here to reduce the damage. It was a little slow, but it kind of came in time. This is still not very efficient. Overall, with the pressure applied, this was still enough to kick this power well. I think that was just a very nice use case at like what Bandits has in its arsenal by now to pressure down enemies, even though like it's a strong defense like Lost Souls, that was possible. I think like the deck itself is extremely good right now. So you can see like Stormsinger using ability here. So the Wind Hunter is moving over, straight up disenchanting this and allowing this guy to move again. So this one is going down to avoid the nasty surprise, hitting both of them, which would be an amazing trade for Stiglitz here. In the end, this only killed one of the two Wind Hunters. And since I tried to like apply pressure, quite a nice nasty by the way, to counter the Ravage onto the Wind Hunter. But since I try to force out as much power as possible, this is something I do to delay the tier 3 because I just built it over there. And Stiglitz already positioned the Stormsinger at the tier 3 spot. But since he has to spend a lot of power over here, there is a certain delay. And now those Bandit Lancers are coming in, which are extremely good against Lost Souls because this deck in particular lacks a very good M counter. So those Bandit Lancers are extremely powerful at leveraging tempo leads, and you will see why. You can see like super cheap units, 60 power, extremely good stats. Now those ones are like walking down here. Frostbite Nightcrawler Frenzy, good way to like deal with them quickly, but obviously not super power efficient because this Nightcrawler dies afterwards, and yeah, that makes it inefficient. Spawned another Bandit Lancer into the Nightcrawler to slow it down a little further, while also moving down to this area here. So Combo trick being used here, shield building being used over there, but there's so much pressure you need to deal with. Like Timeless-1 is a good option, but if the Bandit Lancer reacts quickly, you can use the ability onto this Timeless-1 and cancel his ability to activate the freeze. Like the ability can prevent enemies from using their special abilities. So yeah, this is very important. So you can see like the split attack pressure is really high, and you can just directly trade into the Silverwind Lancers stat-wise. The Bandit Lancers are good enough for that, so very ideal scenario, even though they are L counters themselves. So now like the ability got activated again, so the Timeless-1 cannot reactivate his freeze, which is quite nice. Lancers are winning the trade over here. You can always use the Rounding Banner to reinforce, and at some point like the pressure is getting too high and something will go down. Like the extra range on those units from the Bandit Lancers also helped a little bit to snipe out this Timeless-1. Now this power well dropped, and yeah, Stiglitz surrendered. So I think this was just a very nice showcase of the new Bandit stacks, its tools, and I think it's a really great deck, very flexible. Like there's so many deck building options that you can opt towards to. I really recommend trying this one out, and I really hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.